Hi, this is Erica DELSIGNORE. I'm the founder of Daily Lead Campaign, where we find you leads every day on social media and through video marketing. And this is my series where I help you by finding entrepreneurs and experts talk about their success in marketing and what helps them, and also a little bit about their businesses, because people are coming from a lot of interesting places, and the series is called Great Minds, Great Marketing. We are very, very fortunate to have Susan Pilkenton here. She is starting a brand new business, although she's been flipping houses her whole life. Actually, I hope that that's true. I don't know why I just said that. I'm just, an embellisher. And,
oh yeah, since I was 5.
Perfect. Okay, and it's so actually I'm going to let you introduce everything. This house flipping focusing on women, and you have such a beautiful way of describing women being the center of the universe for their family and for the community. I would love to just, Susan, thank you so much for coming on board, and why don't you tell us a little bit about the business?
Well, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. It's such a pleasure to be here. I've known you for a while, and again, much gratitude, much gratitude. So basically, we're building a business. It's called Flipping Success, and flipping is very, very popular right now. There's so many TV shows on that look so easy and exciting and popular, and flipping's in, right? The statistics are that the average flipper makes $50,000 to $60,000 profit per property that they flip. Now, of course, you don't get that in all areas of the nation, but that's way up from when the economy collapsed back in 2008, 2009, 2000, and those profits were either nil or just under $20,000. So flipping's back, and we're excited to be able to offer a program for women. We help women build a business that they love, and a life that they love, and flipping houses is just the way to get it done. So if you can make an extra $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, what would that do to change your life? That's how we initially started this business.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great way to put it, because a lot of times women get a little bogged down with their extra responsibilities. I mean, I hate to say it, because I know there's a lot of men out there that help out, but as you were talking about, when you have kids and a job still, and then a lot of household activities that you have to do, sometimes you don't feel like you're getting ahead, and you're working a lot of hours for not a lot of money. And just speaking of that, you kind of came from that background, as I understand it in your bio.
Yeah, I used to work in the dental industry. I was a dental assistant, a chairside assistant. And as you know, people that work in the healthcare industry, they work when patients are available. So you're talking nights, weekends, holidays. I mean, of course you do during the week. So it's long hours. It's very stressful. There can be some health occupation issues that come down, disease issues that you could contract from being in that industry that you could very well take home to your family. So the long hours, and then of course you're underappreciated and underpaid, that leads to an unhappy, very stressed out mommy, especially when you've got kids at home, right? And a husband, and myself, I was driving between an hour and 30 minutes to work every single day, one way. So that's almost 3 hours round trip.
Wow.
And you can just imagine, the road rage, the traffic, the stress. Oh my God, I've got, a ton of dishes to do when I get home, and the kids got homework and laundry, and it's one of those things, right? So basically, I worked in that industry for many, many years. I think about a dozen years or so, and I just it wasn't getting it. It wasn't cutting the mustard. And my boss had recruited me from another office at that point in time. And he said, oh, if you could just come help me build my practice, we'll be really super successful. I know if you come help me build my practice, as soon as we make all this money, I'll take care of you. Raises, compensation, 401k, vacation, all this other stuff. Yeah. So 3 years go by. We're making money. We have tons of patients, lots of success. And guess what? Hey, boss, I'm ready for everything, right? And he goes, what are you talking about? I go, you know, everything you promised me. And he goes, no, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. And I go, you know what?
Wow.
I'm going to go home today. I'm feeling sick, right? And we had a few words, and I left. And on the way home, of course, he called me several times, and I ignored his call. And I heard these commercials on the radio. You can make money in real estate too. So this was almost 20 years ago when all this went down. And when I got home that night, I saw, you know, in the middle of the night, you're sleepless. You're like, what am I going to do? This job isn't going to get it for me. My kids don't just, you know, they deserve a mom that's home to take care of them, to be there for the piano recitals and the dance and the cheerleading and the baseball and the soccer and all that stuff. So I saw the commercial again, and I picked up the phone, and I attended my very first real estate seminar, and from that, the rest is history. That allowed me to build a business that I could quit the job. I fired the boss, replaced my income, fired the boss, and was able to stay home with my kids. And the joke used to be, it was really fun, my kids would come in the door after school, and they go, Mom, I'm going to get dressed. I was like, what are you talking about? I'd be sitting there in my robe and my cup of coffee all day long working, because you can work in your robe and your fuzzy slippers all day long, and no, you sound super professional on the phone, right? So I could get all my business done, and it was amazing. So my kids would be like, but we want to bring our friends in. Could you get dressed? It was amazing. So I want that for women. I want that for women, you know, where they can feel freedom.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's fantastic, because, you know, I know a lot of women, and I know people that feel stuck. They feel stuck in their lives, and one thing in common that gets them out of it is money. And if they could make money, if they had time to make money, you know, you have that guilt factor about your kids, and, you know, are they going to live in a cluttered house? I mean, I work from home, and I still have those issues. I can't even imagine having a 3-hour commute. I mean, I have to travel, you know, pretty much every month for a few days, but I don't have to do a 3-hour commute every single day. So I can't even imagine how stressful that is. I know there are people that all over the world that have to do that, and you know, it is nice to have a lifestyle business, and I think real estate really is that. What do you think is the #1 reason people are afraid to get into it?
Oh, well, you're not playing with pennies. You're playing with big bucks. You know, buying homes and flipping homes is not, oh, well, let's go out and buy a few, you know, stocks of IBM and hope that it does well over the next 20 years. This is, let's buy 100 or 200 or 300, or depending on where you live, upwards of $1 million property. Put, you know, anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000, or sometimes $250,000, like I'm doing right now, into a property, and hope you get your money back. That's the fear. You know, again, it looks very glamorous on TV, but there's so much that they don't tell you that happens on that commercial in between the sessions, right? And there's so much more that happens behind the scenes. So what if I lose my money? What if that's my kid's college tuition? What if I can't, you know, what if it doesn't work out right? What if somebody gets hurt? What if I get sued? I mean, there's so many things to think about, right? So most people, fear is inaction, and inaction is getting stuck, and getting stuck requires 2 things to get out of it. Mostly a lot of pain, and then one jolting event that throws you out of it, where you go, I ain't gonna take it no more. That's what it takes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I heard a fantastic. I was at an event, you know, I think about a month ago, and that was one of the topics, and there was a great quote that came out of that, and it was, massive action kills fear, because people are afraid to do something to change their life, because, you know, there is a lot of risk. There's always going to be a lot of risk when there's a lot of reward. So
a lot of risk when you turn on your car and drive down the road. So why not calculate that risk and put it in a format that really gives you big wins? And if that win doesn't, it's like real estate is just the vehicle. it's just something that look, everybody lives in a house. We can touch it. It's right here in front of us, right? This is our home. So if you're familiar with it, it's not like buying a stock of Google, which is located in a company in California that we've never been to. This is something we get it. Our neighbor has a home, the guy down the road has a home, so we can grasp it. And if you could be walked through it in a very simple process and have someone walk you through the protection of making that knowledge available to you, you could just make $20,000 or $50,000. It could change the landscape of your family's future. Pay off that medical bill or that college tuition that looms over your head every single day and keeps you in debt. Or buy off that debt that created that low credit score, whatever it is that you need in life. Just one flip, that's all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's that's really important. And thinking about what life would be like if you didn't have that, and then you can turn it from part-time to full-time if you want, and then you've really got a business.
Or just do one flip. Just do one, and then if that doesn't fit your DNA, if that doesn't fit who you are inside, okay, get the problems off your plate, and then go, gosh, I have the freedom to decide what I want to do.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's huge. So I know that you're saying that you're not really doing much of the marketing yourself. That's not really part of what you do in this particular business. Do you, with your specialty, with the part you're playing of the new business, do you have any advice to offer about business in general?
About business in general and about the way that we choose to do business. So I was just on a conference call with my business partner this morning, and she's phenomenal. What makes us a great team is that she's great at all the things that I'm not great at, and I'm great at all the things that she's not great at. So we looked at our business relationship as a perfect fit or a perfect match. And here's the things that I would recommend from my perspective. Do it right. If you really want to do something, go out and get a coach that actually knows what they're doing and do it with them. There's so many dabblers out there that just don't want to make a decision. Well, I think I'll dabble a little bit, and then they don't get a result, and then they go, see, I told you that stuff doesn't work. So it's almost like they're looking for an excuse. The dabbler is like an excuse maker. But if you're really committed, you go out, you find that right coach, you get that training, and then all the things that you're not. So I had a good amount of, what do they call that, mindset training when I first got into business, because I'm no different than anyone else. I have a lot of baggage from the history. And it can take you down in business. You are the sum total. Your business is the sum total of everything that goes on inside of you, your head and your heart, right? So get the mindset training so that you're coming from the law of attraction, abundance mindset. Get the right coach who has the skills to get you there, to catapult you quickly. And then all the things that you're not good at, which you're going to learn about yourself along the way, go ahead and replace yourself. Don't feel guilty. We women think we have to do everything. We don't have to be the do-all, be-all of everything. That would be my best advice. And she has all those great skills that I don't have.
Oh, well, that sounds like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, it is. She's amazing.
That's fantastic. I mean, I agree with you. I can't, I'm trying to think of how long I was in business. I've had several businesses, but always really reluctant to hire people, because when I did, then it was like, you got to manage them, you got to train them, and then leave, and then you're stuck, and So I absolutely agree, but it does take a while to change that mindset. Now, every time I have more work to do, I think instead of how can I get all this done, I think who can get this done besides me.
So, I mean, think about what it took for you to make that decision. You went to the school of hard knocks first before you made the decision to go out and replace yourself. And really, it took that painfulness of not having a couple of successes for you to get to that. So my urge to all of our listeners is, look, don't feel guilty about that. Just take someone else's failures and make them your successes by taking their education, their school of hard knocks education, and replace that with what their advice is. That would be my greatest I wish someone had kicked me in the tail and told me from the very beginning.
No, I know what you mean. I mean, it probably took them 10 or 15 years to make all those mistakes.
And who wants to waste 10 or 12 years of your life getting that education, that School of Hard Knocks education, when you can go in and just have success in business right off the bat?
Absolutely. So, hey, ironically, today I interviewed somebody else from the Speaking Empire group of people, because you and I have been to several of the Speaking Empire events together, and even to one of their special classes, which was the very first presentator class. We were both a part of that. That was incredible. I know you take a lot of classes, and you're constantly learning, which is really what it takes to start a business and be a successful entrepreneur. Can you give us any ideas about some great classes or books that you've been reading recently?
Well, I'm a real estate investor, so what I'm reading are property prospectus. I'm analyzing property all the time, so I love going through and analyzing property and data from that. I'm also, always reading my industry-specific knowledge, because I want to share that with my team, with my mastermind students and stuff like that. So those are great things that I'm reading. The other thing, though, is the events. And what I love about live events is that it's the difference between reading a book and getting into the book, or going to an event and being involved in that event, is it's called transitional learning. When you read a book, you can take it in and you understand it and you like it, but maybe you have to read it 2 or 3 times before you really encase that knowledge in your heart and your head, right? But when you go to a live event like we did, you get immersed in that information. And so once you're immersed in it, you kind of take it in that day. And I would really say that I've been studying my industry and being around my industry for nearly 20 years. The mindset was probably the best stuff that I did for myself at the very beginning, to get rid of the crap in my head and all the stories that we tell ourselves about our past, right?
Yes.
And secondly, taking all my knowledge that I learned over the years and putting it on the fast track by going to the Speaking Empire events. I've really truly enjoyed their teaching and training. It's really made a big, huge difference in my life, and it probably has for you too.
Oh, definitely. The other thing about those events is that you meet people and you hear about what they're doing. My favorite question for people that I meet at the events is, which of these marketing tactics has really made a difference for you the quickest, and most effective, all of that. And you'll get a different answer from everyone usually, but you're writing that stuff down, and I'm implementing what they're implementing, and you can even ask for advice on how to make what they did successful. So that there's a whole mastermind component to it. In fact, the first event I ever went to at Speaking Empire, we had a mastermind lunch, and they came up with an event for me to do. And I ended up making, in the back end of that event, $1,000. And so it was like only $6,000 going in, but people liked it, and they bought a lot more of my services. So that was really really great, and I wouldn't have made that money had I not gone to the event. So I always keep my ears open, and I try to meet as many people as I can, and I think it's really important. I met you at these events, and it's always fantastic to hear what you're doing.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And, I'm sure that's one of the reasons why you're one of the top in the industry, is because, you make these alliances, but you learn from everyone else, right? And you're still open to that. I mean, one of the things that is tough to do when you get into, an industry for so long is that, well, you think you know everything. Some people get that way, right? But I'm never going to have that attitude. I'm always humble enough to think, oh my gosh, I know. The more I learn, the dumber I feel, and I'm so open to sharing with other people. And I know I have a lot of industry knowledge because people ask for my advice all the time. I consult for large companies. However, I'm always open to learning as much as possible. And what's great about you is you actively seek that knowledge and go after it. So that's what's great about you.
Well, thank you very much. I will say, like nowadays, because of the internet, I think that things change, 100 times faster than they ever did. So if you're not out there actively looking for the newest information, you're in trouble because you might wait 10 days or a month, and all of a sudden something that you thought was one way has turned.
Can I give you a funny story?
Yeah.
So, the first laptop that I ever bought when I first got started as an investor, the very first laptop I bought was 500 megs of RAM. Now, let that sink in for a minute. The last laptop I bought had something like, I don't know how many terabytes, right, of information. I mean, my phone's got more than 500 megs of RAM in it.
Yeah, no, I think I have like 250 gigs in my phone and 500 gigs on my laptops, several of my laptops. It's amazing how much information can fit in a small space. You would think it would weigh like 100 pounds too, but they weigh 3 to 5 pounds or whatever it is.
Oh my goodness! And so when we used to log on the internet back then, that was back in 2000, like 1999 is when I bought that first laptop, right? It had 500 megs of RAM, and when you dial on the internet, it did this squeaky. Yeah. Remember? And so at that time, I had one in kindergarten, one in middle school, and one in high school kids. And down the road, about now I'm grandma. But back then, my son, many, many years later, was moving out, and I was saying, hey, Jacob, you want to take those cassette tapes with you when you go? And he was moving out of the house, and my daughter, who's 10 years younger, goes, what's a cassette tape? Unbelievable what 10 years of technology is. She didn't have a clue what the only thing she ever knew about were CDs and those little chips that go in the computer, right? That's all she ever knew about. So
pretty soon they don't know about CDs anymore either. So
yeah, so I don't have a laptop that has a CD drive in it.
I don't either. Well, I might have an older one, but my newer one, my 2-year-old one doesn't. That's for sure.
No, my new MacBook doesn't have one. So it's amazing. But if you let off the technology, especially in the advertising and marketing industry, even in consulting and marketing mainly, you're going to be lost in just a couple of years. So it's crucial to stay up with your technology.
I tell the story sometimes about how last year I had one way of bringing in leads through social media, and it was working phenomenally. I was doing emailing on LinkedIn, and that's all. People paid me $1,000 a month. I had 8 computers set up. They were all running 3 or 4 campaigns a day. It was like printing money. It was awesome. And, then one day, like they kept changing. I don't own LinkedIn, so they kept changing the rules, and even when they didn't change the rules, they were still pausing accounts if they thought you were doing too many activities without buying their stuff. And so, finally I just had to close down an entire strategy that was making me all of my money. And so I had to restart. And so now, that's just a good example of social media changing, business changes, technology changes, all of it. Now we do 5 or 6 different strategies on all different, social media platforms, and we use video too, and emailing here and there. It's just amazing the amount of variety you have to make sure that you are still current and effective, and and I think it's the same thing. I mean, really, with house flipping, it's going to be about, staying up on the freshest techniques that are out there. The rules are changing all the time, especially with the new administration coming up. It's a lot to take in, but if you don't keep up with it, you could actually lose a ton of money.
So here's a little tidbit of knowledge and information for you. I'm just going to give you a little tiny bit of it. Coming July 1st, there's a major change coming for those who are in the know in the credit industry that could affect people's credit score tremendously. So, so here's my recommendation. Get on my masterclass get into my group so I can share this huge information that's coming down the pike. It's going to be implemented July 1st, and it's going to change a lot of the ways that we do business, and it's related to your credit. So, or you can, or you can just, go out the hard way to the school of hard knocks and research the internet for hours and hours and hours and try to figure it out. Or you can just show up in my group and I can tell you what you can do with this information. Yeah?
So, hey, look, on this, I have posted your website on the thing. I think I did. I can't see it right now okay, because it's House Flipping Secrets. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So just click on the link. It's on there. It's just faded out because this is a live. It's a live broadcast right now. But yeah, just click on the link, and you will get to Susan's website, and you will be able to see what classes are coming up. Can you tell us, describe the class a little bit more? I know that we've got a big secret coming up, but what's in your master class, and what can we expect to learn?
Well, we made this really easy for women to get on board. So a lot of flipping opportunities, they're kind of expensive, and you have to go to a 3-day course, and you have to rearrange your schedule, and then you have to spend a lot of money to get coaching. And women just don't have that sometimes in their schedule. They've got kids, they've got activities, they've got full-time jobs, and then on and on. And don't forget the spouse, right? I mean, sometimes the spouse gets left behind, if there is a spouse, or someone significant in your life, your parents you want to spend time with, your siblings. There's just so many people that are pulling us women in directions. So what we did was we created a very inexpensive program that's going to take you step by step by step, very, very easily and very, very thoroughly through what you need to know in order to get your first house flipped and become a success. We always say, why don't you go out and get a success so you can be a success, right? Right. And then we teach that on the masterclass. We talk about that in depth. Well, what are you going to get? What's missing in some of these other programs? And we do it on your time. We try to make it as convenient as possible for you. So we chunk it down to easy to absorb sessions so that you're not trying, a baby getting fed with a fire hose, essentially.
Or anyone fed with a fire hose is really dramatic.
Yeah, it's kind of dramatic. Well, and sometimes those live events, I love them, but sometimes they're overwhelming, and then you go home with this chock full of gold in your notebooks and in your head, and then the next day you wake up and you go, now what was that I learned? I can't remember, and you're flipping through pages, and you just can't absorb it all. I mean, it's been statistically proven that you only absorb about 20% of what you read or take in anyway. So what if you had something at the tips of your finger that you could read or go through over and over and over again, that you could fully absorb at your own pace?
Sounds fantastic. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on today. I know that you are very busy and kicking things off, and you've got websites going live and events coming up and all of this, and so I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge with with my audience today.
Thank you very much, Erica. It's truly a pleasure. I mean, I knew the day that I met you something special was going to come out of this, and look at you. You're such a phenom, and we've gotten to be good friends, and I'm really thankful and grateful for the time to be with you today.
Oh, me too. Thank you so much. So, hey, everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is Erica DELSIGNORE, and I own Daily Lead Campaign. You've been watching my interview series, Great Minds, Great Marketing. That is it for this week. So wait to see us next week on Tuesday, where we have 3 more interviews coming up, and much more knowledge. And certainly today's secrets from Susan have been phenomenal. So please click on the link, go to her new website, and sign up for her masterclass. It sounds like it's not that expensive for a huge value and some fantastic content. So thanks again, everyone, for coming. I will look forward to seeing you next week.